very good morning to you, and welcome to part 3 of the Jonell radio, the A50. And since the last time we met on video, you may have noticed some slight changes. I don't mean to laugh, but I took the whole thing to bits, basically, and got in and had a good go at cleaning it up, and I cleaned up the tops of these transformers, top of the can. The IF cans are all nice and shiny. The capacitor has lost its rust and has had a cleaning between the vanes. And the chassis itself, as you see, has got a nice uniform coat of primer grey on it. And I didn't even manage to spray the valve sockets because I masked them up, although they are still a bit mucky inside. Now, with that, there is sort of a caveat. You'll notice at first that the grid cap wires have both been replaced. Although I haven't put the actual caps on the end of the wiring yet because we're a little bit of a way away from that stage. Going through it, I was doing my usual sort of let's check components as we're sort of taking things to bits. And the one thing I did find initially was that the volume control was actually open circuit on the switch. There was no way I could ever get the set to switch on. Now, I had a rummage and I had a look, and I eventually found, and I'll just pick it up off the bench, another one. And similar switch, that's not a problem. Same value pot, not a problem. Same style of shaft with the half D section. The only problem is this is about half an inch shorter. Now I'm hoping that this will fit. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to put this in as a temporary measure and then try and find another one with a longer shaft. I was tempted to put a standard 500k log pot in as a volume control and maybe fit a switch to the back of the set and cheat, but that's not really the spirit of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make this thing work as it should have done. So I'm going to put that back over on the other side. The other problem I've got, this is the tone switch, and a couple of these fingers have actually snapped in half internally, and I'm not quite sure why, whether that was the switch cleaner I was using, which I find very unlikely because it's a standard electrical switch cleaner, or whether they were actually loose and damaged in the first place and no longer stable. Now, the one advantage we have is this is a 3-pole switch, so what I can do, instead of having the wiring on this one, and which was the other one it was on, that one, and I think it was that one, I can bring it round and use this one, and that one for the 3 switches. Or I could go with the circuit diagram of the actual ACE50 radio, and I could change that for, again, another pot, rather than having the switch have a pot there, and that would then mean that you'd have continuously variable tone rather than the low, mid, high sort of control that this was. So that's another option. Let me put that over the side as well. And there was one more thing. I'm just looking around to make sure I can find it. There it is. Now on the back, if you remember, you see that plate at the back, that serial number plate. Well, I actually managed to take that plate off, and I drilled out the rivets basically and thought, right, okay, I'm going to take this off and I'm going to have a look. And I actually found this plate here. Now I'm going to try and bring it up to the camera so that you can see it. And on the back of the plate, this is what it says: Ace Radio Limited, Tower Road, London Northwest 10, under serial number. So that just confirms that that number must have been an internal factory number. I don't know, I'm just trying to get it to focus on the camera. There we go, so that you can see it in the lights. And that is the actual plate that was there. So obviously this was converted from a standard sort of Ace set, or it was another Ace model. Now we've been talking about it being an A50, and there's a couple of major differences. We've already talked about this transformer here, and on checking it out, this only works with the filaments. It doesn't do the high voltage side at all. What seems to happen is the high voltage comes in from the mains. So I'm going to turn this over. Let me just turn it over, get the wonderful pink mat. Let's bring this back slightly there. There we go. As you see, where I've been doing my taking bits out, I haven't put any of these wires back yet. And the reason for that is simple, is because I'm going to go through the components and I'm going to check each one of them, and as I check them, if they're any good, they stay, and if they're no good, they come straight out and get replaced with new. There are a few bits where, this resistor here looks a touch scorched. As I say, these wax caps are going to go. Going to test these Dubiliers, make sure that they're still good, make sure they're not leaky. Rewire all of these. I've actually, as you see, I've resoldered this, I've had the switch all cleaned up, and all of that is now fine. But getting back to this transformer, what happens is the mains comes in and then goes straight onto the rectifier, and then the rectifier puts the DC out. So the chassis, if you put it on a non-polarized plug, could actually become live, which is not a very pleasant experience, as those of you who watch my Eddystone video will remember me saying about. So it's something I'm obviously concerned about, and I could fit an isolation transformer into it. I don't know whether it'd be easy to hide it. I'll see what I could get. But if I could hide one inside, then fine. It's not going to have to be any great sort of voltage, great sort of current rating, sorry, should I say, because let's face it, the valves on high tension don't take much current. It's the heaters that take all the current. So what am I really looking at doing? It's isolating the chassis from the mains so that you're safe, really. I've also got to confirm that these components match the A50 circuit diagram. I keep knocking that cap, but hey ho. And at present they may not. I haven't gone to as far as doing any more electrical work, bar the desoldering of the bits I've taken out while I was cleaning up. For example, this shaft is now, I completely dismantled it, and now it's lubricated nicely, and it doesn't snatch and it doesn't grind. It's a very nice smooth mechanism. I say that, I've just found a rough bit there. It does sound a bit graunchy there. Probably needs another drop of oil. But yeah, there's 3 ball bearings in there which have all been lubricated up. I made sure the ball race was fine. It's not actually got a groove where the ball bearings sit, so it's in pretty good shape in that respect. I haven't touched any of the tuning components. I took the entire module out as one, as you saw in the last video, and all I did was rub it up with isopropyl alcohol to clean everything, a bit of switch cleaner on the switch, using a soft paintbrush, and just literally cleaned off the switches and cleaned off, a lot of the gunk that was on it, and it's come up quite nice. I've tested the continuity on the coils, obviously just with a continuity checker. I haven't done RF checks on them or anything like that. All I've done is gone, is it still in circuit? Beep beep, yes it works, fine, we've left it at that. So they all test good. Now where do I go from here? I could show you a video of me sitting here soldering components. I've done enough of those in the past where you can sit and say, right, okay, well, this is a resistor, let's unsolder it, let's put another resistor in, and I think you'd find that fairly boring. The last video was 40 odd minutes long, so I don't think I'm going to aim for anything that sort of length this time. So this is, as I say, this is the chassis as is. The wire that was melted here I'm going to replace. You can see I haven't replaced the wires that have come off the IF cans yet. When I took the IF cans out to clean them up, again I checked that the IF cans were all basically all the transformers in them were good, so continuity wise they're all connected. And on this one I did solder the new grid cap wire which reaches round to this side. So that's what we've got on the underside here. Here's the faulty pot. As I say, it's the switch part that seems to be faulty, although the actual pot itself, it's meant to be 0.5 meg and it only reads 330k, so that's a little bit low in resistance as well. The tone switch we've talked about. So that's pretty much where we are with the chassis, as we are, although I took this cap out and it's going to come out, because I was using the bolts and I was keeping everything in the same places, that's why this resistor is still attached where it is, this capacitor is still attached, because I'm going to obviously leave the tag in and take the capacitor off the tag, because I'm still going to need the tag there. I haven't riveted the plate on the back chassis yet, and if I just quickly spin it over onto the back so that you can see, I actually only took the primer down to where the curve finishes, so that this is still bare metal as it was originally, and the same on the front where the controls are. So you still do have bare metal, because that's how it was. I'm not trying to sort of make excuses for not taking everything off. It's just originally this was metal and this top section here was painted, and you can see a bit of grubby finger mark in there. So that's effectively what I've done. I put the masking tape on, I sprayed the top and left the back and the front, and if I just tip it that way, again you can see that's shiny metal. So yeah, what else can I say? As I say, I did clean up this control, and this is on a ball bearing mechanism. It does seem to, it's turning quite freely now, so it could just do with another drop of sewing machine oil in there. I just put a drop down the shaft there, and that will go all the way down to the ball bearings. as you see, that the centre section is rotating really freely, so it's probably just the outer race that needs a little bit more oil. This switch, the selector switch, is still working fine, although I can't do it with my fingers. So that's the chassis anyway. So that's what it looks like. Front of the cap's all shiny. Transformers cleaned up, no rust on them. The cap is being cleaned up, but I haven't taken, let's just turn it that way, I haven't taken the markings off the can, and I certainly haven't taken the date code off it at the side there. So that's all as it should be. So let's just move that to one side for a moment, and let's bring in the dial. Now, all I've done with the dial, and all you can see in the dial now, is the reflection of the lights above it. Let's just tilt it like that and get a focus on it. There we go. As you see, I've cleaned some of the dust off, but I haven't yet taken this apart to get the dust out from inside. Also, the actual pointer is bent, and I can see why. It's because as this shaft that attaches, if I turn it to the back, as the shaft sort of rides, when it's pushed in, it rides on a felt bushing, which keeps the thing square. But where it's been pulled backwards, it's actually bent the ends of the pointer upwards. So easiest way to describe it, if it's bent the ends up like that, so there's the centre of the pointer and it's going up like that. So obviously I've got to put that right as well. Couple of little dabs of paint are missing off it. I really don't want to take it out and paint it. All I want to do is clean it up. So that's just one of the little jobs I've got to do. And again, I don't think you want to really sit there and watch me getting a Q-tip in here and wiping out dust. The other thing, let me move that to the side again. The other thing that we had was obviously the tubes were a little bit grubby, and we also had one of them was wrong in there. We were missing a 6K7. So I've actually looked in my stock and I found a 6K7. This just happens to be a Canadian Westinghouse tube. And what I've got to do is I've got to stick these all on my valve tester. Again, I've seen other people do it on video. Do you really want to sit here and watch me go, boom, oh yes, look, it's gone to good. Boom, oh yes, it's gone to good. Boom, oh yes, it's gone to good. And doing that for each of these, all you're going to get is a lot of jump cuts of different valves being in the socket and the needle on the dial going, That's assuming they are all good. Now, I am going to test all of these, but as I say, I don't think I'll be doing it on camera as it stands. So that's where we are with regards to the set as it stands at the moment. So I've got the dial to clean, I've got the valves to test, and I'm going to start going through the circuit. Now, what I will do is I will get a copy of the circuit diagram printed out in a size so we can see it on the bench here, and we can work through it, and you can see as I check through, highlighting the differences between this Jonell version and the original Ace 50, because there does seem to be some differences there. So obviously, with highlighting the differences, does that mean I convert this radio? And let me move these out, because do you want to see just the tubes on the bench? Do you like to see my nice shiny pink? Thank you very much, Aldi, for these craft mats. Everybody else seems to use green like I use, but I thought I'd go with a pretty pink one for a change, just to be different. Also, at my age, if people want to call me funny names, that's up to them, but pink is a good enough colour, and to be quite honest, it gives me an idea of, you know, how the camera's behaving with regards to colour balance. If it looks pink, then it's right. If it doesn't look pink, then I've got some setting up to do on the camera. So, yeah, what else can I say? Let's bring the chassis back in shot so we can leave it on the bench so you can enjoy a pretty picture. So let's put it more in the middle there. So there you go, and you can obviously see where my lights are. There's one over here because the shadow's here, and there's one over there, and then you've got the lights above it, but they're not as bright as the ones at the side. I have got some more lights which I will be doing a review of at some stage, but that's a completely different video altogether. With the Jonell radio, here we are. I've checked, as I say, pretty much everything I'm going to check at the moment. I've got to start going through the components and the wiring one by one, and just going from there. That's really about all I can say. You know, we've had 20 minutes to talk and no action. Do you prefer me doing the videos like this where you don't actually see me doing anything, or would you rather have me sitting here with a soldering iron? Be interested to know. Let me know in the comments if you'd rather just see the progress like we are now, where I do a bit, bring it back, and then talk about what I've done rather than sitting there showing you. I think most people who know some electronics will understand this is a capacitor, this is a choke, this is a transformer, this is a capacitor, but obviously when I do get through to the wiring and the testing and the alignment, I will have to do that all live on camera, just so that you can see how it's done on this particular set. But the basic things like, you know, did you want to see me sitting here with a brush scrubbing the rust off, and then sitting outside in the garden with a spray can between the showers of rain, spraying this up and hoping it doesn't rain until it's dry enough for me to grab and rush inside? I didn't really think you'd want to see that sort of thing. Anyway, thanks very much for watching this part 3, and look forward to seeing you in part 4, where we might actually start doing some proper electronics. And as I say, I'll be going through bits one stage at a time, and then trying to cross what I've done in here off from the circuit diagram, and then we can see what the differences are between this and what we believe to be the A50 set. We may well find it's equivalent to an A51 set, but I'm not so sure of that. It's something I'm going to have to look into. With that, I wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll see you for part 4. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye for now.